Okay, before we go further, I would like to also remind you guys to all the participants to follow and pay attention to this event or the material that presented. And if you have any question, you can ask the question in the Q&A session, okay? So without further ado, let us now start our program by welcoming the Vice Rector of ITL Trisakti to deliver his opening remarks. Please welcome to the Honorable Mr. Basri Fahrizal. Please come to the stage to give out the welcoming remarks.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yeah, good morning, everyone. So today we are very lucky. We have a guest from Poland, from UITM. This is the first appointment with us, and we are lucky to have a general lecturer today, this afternoon, Mr. Tuna Dalaman. And I hope all students will enjoy the program. So this is an opportunity that we don't have twice in a lifetime. So enjoy the program, listen, and then if you have a question about the topic, please ask. And yeah, we will establish a program with UITM shortly, maybe program of reciprocal exchange program, and 2+1. So if any student interested, we can discuss further, but this program is still under discussion. But this is an opportunity. If everyone wanted to discuss, we can discuss further, yeah, in the future. Okay, without any delays, I think that's all from me. So student, please enjoy. Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, please give applause to Mr. Basri Fahrizal. Thank you so much, Mr. Basri, for the welcoming remarks. Okay, are you ready for the next session, guys? Ready? Who's ready for the next session? Please raise your hand. Everyone's ready for the next session, right? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, now as we transition to the next phase of our program, I'm delighted to introduce our next distinguished speakers. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Tuna Dalaman from the University of Information Technology and Management in Rzeszow, Poland, bring with him a wealth of knowledge and expertise in the field of aviation management. Let's give a hearty round of applause to Mr. Tuna Dalaman. How are you today, sir?
I'm great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having us here. Sorry for the Vice Director. I was a little bit late, but I think this was the more important part for me. I'm very happy to see everyone here, and I heard that you all also have aviation management courses here. So the first part, probably you guys already know what I will be talking about. But this class that I prepared is ending up with some extreme measures, some interesting case from the sector, which I think it is quite interesting, especially for people who are studying the field. Is everyone from aviation management or just some? Who's from aviation management studies? Okay, that's a lot. Okay, but there's also other people. So other people will maybe learn more than the aviation students because they probably know more. So they already did they already introduced me, but yeah, my name is Tuna Dalaman and I'm a graduate of UITM, a fellow graduate. And I did the full circle. I was a student, now I teach in the university. I'm originally from Turkey, but I've been living in Poland for five years now. And I'm lucky enough to come here and give this subject to you. Will I be able to pass it or should I just tell it to someone to pass? All right. So, okay, so can we go to the next page of the presentation? All right, so another one. Yes, okay. You can stay here. So first of all, this class consists of some couple different sessions. We're gonna look into the aviation, the commercial airline sector a little bit, and then we will see what they are doing. So I'm sure I usually start this class with discussing the type of airlines in the world, because we need to have a broader idea about the sector first to understand the specifics. I'm sure the aviation management students already know the type of airlines, but to start with, maybe you can name one and I can name one and we can just complete the whole four. Maybe you name them differently. So, for example, full carrier national airlines. What else? For example, Air Asia is one of them. Okay, no need to. No, I am not trying to force you to say anything. So, okay, so let's go for the first one. Can we just go to the next page? All right. So the first type of airlines, we all know, we all love to fly with those airlines. Those are the full carrier airlines. These are the airlines that has basically all the service which are included into the ticket, that you pay the premium price, you pay a much higher price compared to some of the airlines, but usually everything comes with it. And these airlines usually represent their countries. That's why one of the other names that they call them are the flag carriers. And they have different ways of generating revenues. And one of the most important things is the frequent flyer program, that if you ever flew with one of those airlines, you usually earn miles with every flight that you took. That is one of the things which separates them compared to the other airlines. Next page, please. And the second one is the best friend of students, especially in Europe, but also in Indonesia as well. We will be taking an Air Asia flight in 2 days. So these kind of airlines emerged from United States. The first one was the Southwest Airlines, and the idea behind this airline is to offer minimum amount of service, but to keep the ticket price as low as possible. Hence, the name suggests the low-cost airlines. So there are some airlines that you are lucky that this plane is actually, you're lucky that you are not the one who's pushing this aircraft out of the terminal. They basically do not offer you anything except the seat and a safe travel between the point A and point B. But thanks to that, they do offer very low prices, because they do not need to pay, they do not need to spend extra amount of money for the fuel that they spend for your luggages. They do not need to hire cleaning crews in the airports. Whatever you can think of, whatever service you have, or the food that they serve you. In these airlines, you have to purchase your own food. They don't even sometimes give you even water. But thanks to that, you have very cheap travel. And as us students, especially if the flight is cheap, especially if the two destinations are around 1 hour, it doesn't matter that it's okay. I don't need the food. Maybe a backpack is enough for me. But then I will have more money to spend in the destination because I choose to fly with this airline. And I just wanted to say that one of the biggest difference between a low-cost airline and a full flag carrier is the way they operate. As for example, a flag carrier, they work with hub and spoke system. Aviation students, did you ever heard about the hub and spoke system? Yes. For the people who didn't hear about this term, is that for every major airline, for example, we flew with Qatar Airways to Indonesia. There was no direct flight from Warsaw to Jakarta with Qatar Airways. So what we did, we hopped into a feeder flight and we went to Qatar, which is the hub. And from Qatar, we distributed to our destinations, which are the spokes. So these kind of airlines collects people into their hubs and fill the larger planes to move to their other destinations. But that is not the case for the low cost. They fly point-to-point flights, because they are not chasing a big large of traffic. They're operating small aircraft. The next page, please. And the third one is charter airlines. So it's even okay that if you never heard about charter airlines, because they're not very common. These airlines do not have set schedules. In most of the airlines, you can buy ticket even in 6 months future or even 1 year future. But these airlines do not operate with fixed schedules. These are basically holiday airlines. These are airlines booked by companies. If there is enough demand, they just arrange flight and they just meet the demand. So that is basically all they do. And you can also call them seasonal flights. In Europe, around summer they emerge and they take people to the holiday destinations, and in winter they disappear. You even think them they bankrupted, but they always come back. And the other page, please. I don't think this requires any explanation. And the fourth type of airline is obviously the cargo airways. Before COVID, everyone think working in cargo airlines sector is something below them. But the COVID sector showed that when people stopped traveling, the more cargo started traveling during the COVID time, because we were all in our homes, just ordering packages left and right, and it showed how important actually to carry items around the world. So these airlines usually only carry items and they do not carry passengers. It is already self-explanatory. Next page, please. All right. So now we are going into how airlines actually make money, because airlines are also a business. As the first thing you learn in aviation law, aviation management, is that the Deregulation Act in 1978. So I will just simply tell you what it is. Before 1978, before the Chicago Convention, the airline sector was highly regulated. There was a market cap. It was limited by the government. So what it was, that government was setting the maximum prices, government was setting the minimum prices, and there was limitations between destinations, whatever you can name, whatever you name it. And that's why there was limited competition. But once after the Chicago Convention, the regulations lifted, it allowed competitors to emerge, because companies became finally free to make their own marketing decisions. Some of them went for luxury services, some of them went for low-cost services, some of them decreased their price significantly to battle with others. Sometimes it succeeded, sometimes it failed. But competition drives success, especially in this sector. The reason why we have so many options to go to so many different places is simply the airlines are acting like private companies now, and this is the most important thing happen to aviation sector. Government allowing them to explore the market on their own, and this competition brought us the plethora of airlines and options that we have today. Next page, please. All right, so let me break down the revenue generation for the airlines. So there is many ways that airlines earn money, but the most simple one, the first that comes to mind, is basically the ticket sales, and it is correct. 60% of them is actually directly from passengers. The tickets that they sell. Now, unfortunately, usually you need to even buy your seats if you want to sit in window seat. It was not like that 5 years ago. And every single thing you do counts as a revenue generated by passengers. But for the full carriers, there's a huge percentage, which is 40% comes from other areas. So when you go to Emirates website, when you go to these big airlines, okay, there's a check-in bar. There is a part that you can actually book for flights, but then there are options to book hotels, there are options to book cars, holiday packages, you name it. So they're actually acting like an advertisement agency. They are getting paid from banks to use their miles in the bank's credit cards. There are many credit cards that you just do your grocery shopping and it gives you airline miles. So all these collaborations actually makes up to 40% of the income of larger airlines, and 40% is a big portion, especially in a sector like aviation. And the other passenger related ones, we can just separate them by tickets, seat, luggage, catering, shopping, and partnership. As you know, some airlines are actually even selling duty-free items on board. I will tell you a little bit more about how desperate airlines are in order to earn money, especially in 2024. Next page, please. All right. Of course, with the before the competition, if you wanted to fly from A to B, you only had one option. And this option, being the airline, didn't care about their image, didn't care about what kind of services that they provide to their passengers, because what are you going to do? Are you going to take a car and travel for 20 days? That is not an option, because you only had one option. But since now you have option B, C, D, all the way to Z, you need to protect your brand image. You need to stay a good image. You need to present a good image to keep attracting customers. To give you an example, you go to McDonald's and you get a chicken burger there, and you get food poisoning. Okay, and what would be your reaction? That you will say that, okay, I will never eat chicken again in my life, or you will say that you will not eat McDonald's chicken again. 90%, 99% of the people will blame the company, which is kind of the sensible thing to do because the whole thing. But that shows actually the customers are always ignorant. So not everyone is informed as you. Not everyone is studying aviation management. So you took a flight, and this flight was bouncy. Your seat was broken. It was uncomfortable, and as a unknowledgeable person, which is nothing wrong about that, you're not going to sit down and say, yes, this Boeing 737 produced 40 years ago, so that's why this aircraft was bad. So no, you will just blame the airline. You will say that, oh, I will never fly with this airline again because it was so uncomfortable. So it means that it is not actually the airline's fault, but airlines still need to battle with these kind of stuff because maybe a fraction of the percentage of people who's flying are actually interested in this sector. So all these other negative environment is something that airlines keep battling with every day. Next page, please. And now, obviously, the cost. Now you will see why actually the airlines are so desperate in terms of earning money. Before I break down, last year, one of the most successful airlines in the world was Pegasus Airways from Turkey. It was a low-cost airline. When I say success, I'm talking about the profit margin that they're operating. They achieved 13% profit margin in their yearly operations. 13% is really not that high, and it still became the most successful airline. So the airlines operate in very small profit margins. Because they are so huge companies, that 13% still billions of dollars, yes. But still, it means that they have another billions of dollars of cost that is constantly going. And they need to fit everything in this 13%. It includes labor. First of all, the crew, the pilot salaries, the crew managing, but it's not only the people on the aircraft, the people who are maintaining it, the people who take care of the company, advertisement, everything you can think of. And the fuel, that is the biggest cost of airlines, the fuel. These machines burns immense amounts of fuel, and year by year, the fuel is getting more scarce. The fuel is getting more expensive in the world. And you can see this even while you're getting fuel for your car or fuel for your motorbike. Imagine these big metal giants that trying to just race for this fuel that they have. And on top of that, taxes. Obviously. So for example, you have a company in Indonesia, you pay taxes to your local government, yes, but that's not the case for airlines. You also pay taxes for the destination that you fly. You also pay taxes for the regions that you fly above. There is something called air traffic control tax. You do not need to land this destination. If you are using Jakarta's air traffic control while flying to Australia, you also pay them a fee. And considering how many regions that you fly over when you're on a flight, it increases, it just multiplies again and again. And on top of that, there is something called a passenger tax. As soon as you land in an airport, airport calculates, okay, you bring me 200 passengers. They use that much amount of water in the toilet. That because of them, I need to assign this many cleaning personnel. So they also charge you. There's cost again and again and again. And finally is the repair and maintenance. And as every aviation student knows, that safety and security is unquestionably the first priority of the sector. You can cut costs in other places, you can cut costs in marketing, everything, but this part that you cannot cut costs. Everything needs to be perfect because these are not simple cars or simple motorbikes which needs to run for 1 hour or 2 hours. These are the perfect machines that needs to operate perfectly in order not to risk anyone's life. And that is also one of a very big cost of the airlines as well. Next page, please. But it's not always bad. It's not always bad. Of course, airlines are keep earning money. That's why they stay alive. But in order to earn money, you have to have some benefits. First of all, the first one is quite self-explanatory. It's financial benefit. It's basically the money that you get. But there is something very important, the second one. It is kind of connected with the brand image as well, which is called the reputation benefit. To give you an example, you just introduced easy access for people in wheelchairs to your aircraft. You installed larger seats or a crane to help them to seat them in the plane. Can you go and charge them for this? Can you put on the ticket that, oh, no, I'm sorry, you have to pay a little bit more because you're in a wheelchair and you have to use these facilities? Absolutely not. You do this, you're bankrupted in the next month, especially in 2024. But all these things comes back to you as a reputation benefit. Airlines does these kind of services just to spread the word among their customer base. And it is actually one of the most important things that they can do. It is very well connected with the brand image as well. Next page, please. All right. Now the second part. I'm rushing a little bit because I don't want to take a lot of your time. So the second part is about the daily challenges in the aviation sector, because every day there are different type of challenges that these companies face and they need to overcome. So let's see what are they. Next page, please. Yes, I just said that. Okay, next page, please. And next page. All right. So first of all, the number one assets are the aircrafts. That is true. So without the aircrafts, there won't be any business to run. I already said that the maintenance and repair is the most important thing. But for example, when an aircraft doesn't process the checks, safety checks, you cannot fly this airplane. But you still have passengers. You still have people who book these flights. So there's a saying in aviation that every airplane which is not flying loses you money, because these are very expensive machines. No airline goes to the companies like Boeing or Airbus and just throws them amount of cash and just buys the aircraft completely. No, they buy it with installments. They buy it as a debt, and actually the airplane earns their own money by working. By flying, it actually pays itself. So every single airplane that you cannot fly is an obligation. It's an obligation for the airline, which constantly loses you money. Next page, please. All right. So next page. I was talking about, and on top of that, before the maintenance and repair, aircrafts are purpose built. So there are different type of aircrafts which flies to different locations. And for example, there are larger aircrafts which flies over cross oceans, and it requires very good planning to assign where you're gonna put those kind of aircrafts. As big airlines, you have variety of them, and you need to plan where they're gonna put. So if you were to put a larger aircraft, which takes around 300 people to fly from Jakarta to Bali, maybe you can fill 100 people, and then you have a 200-seat loss, which will come back to you as a very big financial obligation. It will give you a big deficit. So actually, the airlines also spends a lot of money on departments called crew planning as well as the flight planning, which is one of the things that we can work on after we graduate as aviation management. We were already talking about the maintenance, but just to give you some figures, every day around 100,000 flights happens, and 6 million people flies every day. And in a normal day, you usually do not hear about any crash. And this happens very rarely. To achieve that amount of perfection requires significant engineering, determination, control, level of perfection, because this is something that, as I said before, you cannot afford any mistakes. Next page, please. Do you know about something called walk-around check? What it is? So basically, there's a couple layers to ensure a flight safety. Of course, there are some people, engineers, who are checking the aircraft. But on top of that, next time you fly, try to look around. There will be at least one person who will be walking around the aircraft. Most of the time is either the captain or the first officer. It's someone who knows their equipment. They walk around the aircraft, they touch the surfaces, they try to feel the impurities, if there's something wrong about it. And pilot, captain or first officer, has every right to reject flying an aircraft. And no one can argue with this person. Not airline can argue, not regulators argue. If a captain is saying that, I think there is something wrong and I reject flying this flight, and he's protected by law. then he has this right, and this flight doesn't happen. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially in this sector. Next page, please. And look at this aircraft engine. This is not your simple engine when you pop the hood in your aircraft. For example, if I were to work next to my uncle for 2 years in the repair shop, I might get something. I might start learning about actually how to fix basic stuff about the engine. But aircraft engines are not like this. These engines are designed to run for 20 hours nonstop in the highest performance. Go and try to run your car for 3 hours in the highest RPM. You will just blow it up even before what happened. So these are extremely delicate and expensive machines. That's why we have this kind of a sector in our hands. Next page, please. And this is a picture from the maintenance and overhaul, because some aircrafts, they have certain limited hours of flying before they have to go into the shop. Let's say before this hour fills, obviously you can do some checks on the spot before the flight. But after a certain hour, those aircraft needs to park into these big hangars, and every part needs to be taken off and checked once again before they will be approved for flight again. Next page. And crew management. That is also very tricky. Especially for low-cost airlines in Europe. It is getting more difficult and difficult. There are some airlines that having 2,000 flights a day, which is a ridiculous amount. And every aircraft requires a minimum amount of people to operate. This is not your average bus company. You cannot say, okay, this time let's not have one person who's serving the drinks. All these cabin crew seem like their job is to serve us food or water, but more than that, they are equipped to handle emergency situations in the aircrafts. And also, just like airplanes, crew also has limitation about the hours, how much they can fly. Because first of all, because of health reasons, as you are flying above, you are more exposed to the sun radiation. So it is a little bit more than regular people who is not pilots, but pilots has a slightly more chance of getting cancer just because of that. It is not significant more. But just because of these, to protect these people, they have monthly caps about how much they can fly. And obviously, let's say that you took a crew like we did from Qatar Doha to here, and the flight took 9 hours. You cannot just put those people back into the plane, those crew members, and send it back again. They need to get rest. So in order to be able to give them this rest, you need to have a second set of crew ready and waiting in Jakarta. So your plane doesn't have to wait for that crew. So this rotation is incredibly complex to handle. That's why crew management is a big department in every airline, to assign correct crews for the correct situations, for the correct equipment. It is basically putting the piece of a puzzle to give you a perfect product. Next page. And obviously the weather. I have been told that it should have been raining for the past 3 days, but we were lucky enough that the rain passed. Rain didn't come here. But there is so many different weather situations. This is something that even with the technology that we have, all these meteorology equipment, sometimes there's stuff that happens which you cannot predict. But as an airline, you are still obliged to take care of these passengers. Delays, cancellations. When these happens, you need to take precautions to take care of these people. What you do, you assign hotels, you assign another flight, you give vouchers. All the things that I've been telling, it is adding up to cost again and again. It is more money for the airlines. Next page. And yes, all these things causes delays as well. And time is literally money in the aviation sector. I know you heard this from everywhere, but in aviation sector is the place where most this statement is correct. Next page. And on top of that, it is such a delicate thing. Traffic in the sky. How is that possible, right? So the sky is very open, but it is not like those captains are flying these airplanes however they want. There are invisible corridors which every plane has to follow. So, for example, every flight which is flying towards east has to fly in even number of altitudes, 30,000 feet, 32,000 feet, 34,000 feet. And the ones flying east to west flies in odd numbers, 33, 35, 37. So these corridors are actually what is causing the traffic. Sometimes you just turn, sometimes you cannot land on an airport because it is so many people already waiting to take off or land. So what you do, you just turn and turn and turn. And that is amount of flight that is unnecessary for you. So you burn more fuel, you lose more money. Next page. As you can see from the picture here, this is a Ryanair flight from East Midlands to East Midlands because they couldn't land to their destination and they just had to come back to their own, come back to the airport that they just left. Can you imagine that you sold your tickets and you took off, you already burned gas, you already paid for the salaries of these people, and you came back to your destination. So now you need to arrange another flight. You need to take care of these passengers. So it is so much loss for the company. So they do everything in their power to avoid these kind of situations. Next page. And of course, the passengers. People are unpredictable. And on top of that, you will never know what will happen in your daily life. You have a business trip, and on your way there, you get involved in a traffic crash. Before that, you get fired. There is many ways of life. So it is, and airlines need to take precautions for that. That's why they do something called overbooking. I don't know if anyone heard about that, but what they do, they do this in United States. They sell more seats than the aircraft actually has. So if the aircraft is actually can fly 100 people, they sell 105. And they only do this in routes which in the past they saw that people tend to not show up for this flight. So they predict that there will be 3 to 4 people who won't show up for this flight. So they just want to earn money for that 3-4 people as well. They said that, okay, I will sell 103. 3 people won't show up anyways. So I will just fill the airplane, but sometimes they do. And when that happens, they offer you the next flight or they offer you extra money. But these are all the little tricks that the aviation sector does to compensate for these losses. Next page. All right. And excuse me, that should have been session 3, my mistake. And this is the last part. This is the fun, interesting part. I promise you. I know every lecturer says that, but it really is. Now we see about how the airlines losing money for every single thing. They're constantly paying money for something. And of course, they need to reduce the amount of cost that they have. Now I'm going to show you some interesting precautions that the airlines in the world in the history took to lower their cost. Next page. So I already talked about it. Next page. Weight reduction. And the way to do that, there's many ways, but this is what I'm going to put focus on. The heavier you are, the more fuel you burn as an aircraft. So the goal is to make your aircraft as light as possible. There are different ways to do that, such as new technology, new materials. They used to build the planes from like just solid metals, but then it turned into lightweight, strong titanium, and now they're doing it from carbon fiber, which is much lighter. So they're making the aircraft lighter in order to be more fuel efficient. But there are other ways to do it as well. Next page. So this is the Airbus A380-800. This is the biggest aircraft in the world. Last year I got a chance to fly with one of those. Finally, I managed to fly it. I'm an aviation enthusiast, and I have a checklist of every aircraft. And I can tell you that what I wanted to do, I wanted to sit somewhere on the wing to see the wing, how it moves, to see the parts, and never again, because the wing was so big. I couldn't see the left hand or the right hand. For the whole flight, I just looked at white of the wing. I couldn't see anything. I couldn't see the engines. I couldn't see the ground. It was a terrible choice to just sit there, but it is a massive machine. Next page. Next page. All right, so this aircraft is 72 meters long. This is as big as a football field, and it is 24 meters high. It is probably taller than this building, this aircraft, and it weighs 500,000 kilos. So it is basically 375 cars or almost 5,000 motorbikes. And the amount of fuel that it can hold is more than 250,000 liters, which is enough to put gas into almost 10,000 cars. So imagine, and this is only for one flight. So they need to decrease the amount of burn so these massive machines be a little bit more affordable. Because if they cannot do it, your ticket price will increase because they need to compensate this money. Now let's see what they've been doing. Next page. All right. Next page. All right, let's start with Qantas Airways. This is an Australian Airways. It's an airline from Australia. I heard that it's a very nice one. Never fly with one of them. So what they did is they decided to reduce the size and the weight that they use it for their trolleys and the trays and the place that they serve. And they successfully reduced 11% of their weight from their catering equipment, and they made the trolleys 7 kilograms lighter. So these numbers seems very small, but when you have an operation scale of thousands of flights, it adds up. And after an annual year of operation, they actually saved 500,000 ton weight from their whole operations, which got back to them as fuel consumption. Next one. Virgin Atlantic, also British Australian airline that we have. So they also did the same thing, and they also went, okay, we're gonna have lighter snacks. They saw that the chocolate bars are too heavy. They're actually heavy for their size. So what they did, they changed it with popcorn. They changed it with crackers, and they effectively reduced their weight, which made them save up 53,000 liters of fuel for 1 quarter of a year operation scale. So these are such a success stories. It seems small, but for these kind of airlines, it is a lifeline. This means they can afford to buy another aircraft to make the initial payment, and which will earn them another amount of money. These are the little tricks of success in the aviation sector. Next page. All right, United Airlines. This is an American airline, and it has the biggest fleet in the world. They have over 1,000 aircraft, and they have 4,500 flights a day. Can you imagine? One airline is flying 4,500 flights in one day. So you can imagine the immense amount of operation that is going there. So what they did, they started printing their onboard magazines into lighter papers, which actually effectively decreased 28 grams per magazine. But when you have a scale of operation like this, it ended up saving them 643,000 liters of fuel by just decreasing 28 grams from their every single magazine that they have. And saved $300,000 yearly. They even stopped selling duty-free items, which is those were perfume bottles, alcohol, whatever you can think of, extremely heavy. And they saw the amount of money that they were going to earn from these duty-free sales was much lower compared to the saving that they would had if they were to remove it. So they saved $2.3 million just by not carrying those items on board. Next one. Thomas Cook. This is a charter airways. This is a European charter airways. So it has nothing to do with this part of the world. It probably doesn't even fly here. So what they did, they decided to not give receipts for the things that people buy. They just started sending emails as receipts. So they effectively ended up saving 420,000 rolls of receipt from carrying as well as buying those receipts, which was an incredible amount of saving for the airline. Next one. And Ryanair. This is a European airline, and this is the best friend of students. Once I flew with Ryanair from Poland to Sweden for $7. My ticket was $7, and I'm not joking to you. I flew from Poland to Italy for $11. This is this kind of an airline. Sometimes you cannot even believe it. And there are sometimes so ridiculous prices, you just buy 3-4 tickets without having a plan. And then you choose which date I'm suitable, and you just pick one of them. The other money, you can just throw it away because very minimal amounts. So this is a very extreme low-cost airline. And what they did, they actually introduced a competition among their crew about weight loss. So they said that after the end of the quarter, the cabin crew which lost the most weight will be modeling in our yearly calendar. Of course, they didn't force anyone. They didn't tell anyone to just lose weight. They just rewarded them. But imagine these people flying 20 times a day, and shaving off 10 more kilos is actually an extreme benefit for the airline. Next one. And Air Canada, they did something controversial. They wanted to remove the vests, the life vests, because they said that, oh, come on, we are flying at least 100 kilometers away from any water. Why do we need to have this? And they actually convinced IATA to remove these airsets. But IATA said that if any of your aircrafts which doesn't have life vests reaches more than 100 kilometers to any water body, we will revoke your license. They said they actually threatened them. But some of their flights doesn't have any of them, so they do not have to carry this dead weight, which is, again, fuel saving for them. Next one. And they also did the same thing. They removed their Southwest low cost, they removed their glass bottles into the plastic ones, and they also have immense amount of flight operations, ended up saving 500,000 liters of water. Next one. And this one I quite like. This is All Nippon Airways from Japan, and it is a great airline. And what they did during the boarding gate, they actually started announcing and encouraging people to go to toilet. They told them, said that, okay, for people, there's still time. We encourage you to use our toilet services, etc. Because they saw that an average human being can actually carry up to a liter of urine in their bodies, which is almost around a kilogram. And they said that if we make 200 people actually go to toilet before the flight, we can shave off 200 kilograms from each flight that we have. And this is one of the ridiculous measures that they took as an airline. Next one. And this is Samoan Airways. This is the most controversial one. They actually named this fat tax. They actually said that if you're above a certain weight, we're just gonna charge you more. This would never work for those big airlines that I said, just because of this brand image that they need to protect. And this is my favorite example, and it's a very famous example. American Airways, they took one single olive out from their continental breakfast. They decided that the breakfast that they're serving, they decided that they're gonna remove one olives, drop from 4 olives to 3 olives. Ended up saving them $40,000 in 1 quarter by removing a single olive. This shows you how much the operation scale of aviation is and how small things can actually make huge differences in this sector. Next one. And Northwest Airways, I also really like this one. So what they started to do, they started to cut the lemons into 16 pieces instead of 10. So actually one lemon was serving 16 drinks. So they effectively reduced the amount of olives that, amount of lemons that they need to buy, amount of olives that they need to carry on board, and they actually made $500,000 savings just by cutting their lemons into more pieces. These are just same kind of examples again and again and again, but I really did enjoy finding out about them. That's why I put them back to back. Next one. All right, there is no next one. So before I finish up, I just want to gather everything together. You saw how the airlines are actually trembling. Airlines, they seem like those evil corporations that they're after your money, and they are, because they have a justification. They do trying to stay alive because they have so many competition. Imagine the Gulf area, Etihad from Abu Dhabi, Emirates from Dubai, Qatar Airways from Qatar. three major airlines, and they're competing for the same location. So they need to be very aggressive. They need to be very active. So these are some of the precautions that they took in the past. But trust me, they need to keep making these kind of decisions. They need to keep developing these kind of strategies to stay alive and to still stay in the business. And personally, as an aviation management graduate, fellow aviation management graduate as well, it is a very excitement field to study. And maybe one of us, one of you, or one of you will be the person who comes with the next strategy to lower cost in this sector. Once you lower cost, I'm sure they will compensate you with a good bonus as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Tuna, for the enlightening presentation. Okay, before we move to the next session, who want to conclude the material which already delivered by Mr. Tuna? Who want to conclude? You can raise your hand. Okay. Maybe the microphone, please.
Okay, so thank you so much for the time. I want to say something about the conclusion. All right, so I can highlight the three things. The first one is about protecting brand awareness, and the second thing is about the cost of airlines, and then the third one is about airlines like effectively for protect their brand awareness. So I want to explain them one by one. All right, so the first one is about protecting brand awareness. So in the airline industry, involves implementing strategies to maintain and enhance the positive perception of the airline's brand among our consumers. All right, so this can include providing excellent customer service, and then they can also ensuring on-time arrivals and departures, offering competitive pricing, and also maintaining a strong online presence through social media and marketing efforts. All right, so the second one that I said before is about the cost of airlines. It's like kind of reverse to the expenses incurred by airlines in operating their business. Okay, so which can conclude fuel costs and then maintenance expenses, labor costs, and then also our port fee, and of course with the marketing expenses and more. All right, so managing this cost effectively is crucial for the airlines to remain competitive and profitable in the industry. So the third one that I already mentioned previously is about airlines that effectively protect their brand awareness and manage their costs can benefit in several ways. Then they can attract and retain loyal customers, differentiate themselves from competitor, and then command high prices for their services, and ultimately achieve greater profitability. And then additionally, by providing positive customer experience and also maintaining a strong brand reputation. And of course, airlines can be also benefits from positive words of mouth. And then advertising increases a market share. And also, all right, so overall, investing in brand awareness and goals, management can lead to long-term success and sustainability in the island industry. So that's all from me. Thank you all.
Okay, give applause, please. Okay, thank you very much for the conclusion. Maybe I think we move to, it's the time that audience has been waiting for, right? Okay, now we would like to open the floor, question and answer session. If you have any question or would you like to engage in discussion with our distinguished guest, please raise your hand and microphone will be brought to you. Let us maintain a respectful and conducive atmosphere as we delve deeper into the topic at hand. Who want to ask the question, or maybe someone want to ask the question? Don't hesitate to ask the question. Please raise your hand. Oh, there is a surprise for you if you ask the question.
No, I was very clear.
Oh, I think everyone's got the point, right, sir? Okay, maybe who want to ask the question? Ya mungkin bahasa Indonesia nggak apa-apa. Nanti minta dibantu translate sama Kak Cinta boleh. Oke, ada yang di sana Kak. Ada yang mau tanya. Ya, minta tolong translate Kak Cinta. Oke. Jangan malu-malu guys bertanya. Ayo kulik banyak-banyak nih informasi dari misternya.
Cek. Ya, selamat siang, Mister. Saya Muhammad Fadil Fojedita. Saya dari Manajemen Transportasi Udara. Sebenarnya saya ada dua pertanyaan. Yang pertama terkait dengan pabrikan pesawat atau aircraft. Itu kan tadi disebutin bahwa salah satu tantangannya itu kan aircraft itu sendiri. Ya, kenapa sampai saat ini cuman hanya ada dua perusahaan besar yaitu Airbus dan Boeing yang mampu bersaing, yang mana itu kan nantinya bisa apa namanya menimbulkan persaingan yang tidak sehat, dan itu sudah terjadi bahwa Boeing mengalami suatu kegagalan dalam memproduksi 737 Max dan korbannya Ethiopian dan juga Lion Air. Dan kenapa sampai saat ini belum ada perusahaan baru yang mungkin bisa membuat persaingan lebih sehat dan tidak terjadi monopoli harga di pabrikan pesawat? Itu yang pertama. Lalu yang kedua, tadi kan ada beberapa suatu inovasi dari beberapa maskapai penerbangan, kayak mengurangi troli, bahwa mengurangi berat, mengurangi majalah. Itu kenapa atau mungkin masih banyak maskapai yang belum menerapkan itu, padahal itu sudah menjadi bukti nyata bahwa itu bisa meningkatkan efisiensi cost dari suatu perusahaan penerbangan itu sendiri. Itu aja sih, Kak.
Wouldn't you be shocked if I just start answering you in perfect Indonesian, right?
All right, thank you for your question. I will translate it now. So
Good
first,
luck. It was a long question.
yeah, so first question is, we know that we have two big manufacturers of aircraft. There are Boeing and Airbus. And why up until now there hasn't been any competitor for them? Why there's no new entrants? Because we know that monopoly is bad for competition, is bad for business development. And so why there's no new entrants? That's the first question. And now the second one is about, you have explained about the extreme measures they have to take, because and it's proven that it's very efficient and effective. But why up until now only them did that, and why not all of the airlines try to implement those extreme measures? Thank you so much.
Yeah, so the short answer to the first question is that because they're just too big. Boeing and Airbus, they're just two big companies. And when you have two very big players, there's something called barrier of entry. And this barrier of entry is extremely high. And a little bit longer answer is that it is not like you're introducing another energy bar or another cracker into the market. It requires significant amount of R&D, years of work to actually be able to have something that people will use. And people, first of all, needs to trust your product as well as an airline. But on top of that, there are not only two. There are many aircraft producers. There's Embraer from Brazil. There is Canadair from Canada. And there are many more. For example, Cessna Dassault from France, and there's also Ilyushin and Skoy from Russia as well. For example, these aircrafts are operated in China and Middle Asia as well. But basically, I know its duopoly is bad for competition, but that ship is sailed. These companies became too big for someone to actually enter this market again. They already dominated, and it works. No one will buy a new aircraft because when you have something proven. What will you say to the press that, oh, we wanted to try the new brand, but it crashed and we killed 200 people? No one wants to have that in the airline sector. The second question is that I'm sure many airlines are already doing this. These are the ones that this was actually part of my thesis work, my graduating thesis work. These are the ones that it was available to me in publications or in the internet, but I'm sure many more airlines are actually implementing these kind of solutions as well. And I will definitely look into more to updating this lecture in the future. Maybe I will find more things. Thank you very much for the reminder.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for the answer.
Okay, thank you very much for the question and for the answer, sir. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, finally, we already in the end of this event. As our Q&A session draws to a close, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to Mr. Tuna. Please give a pose to Mr. Tuna, please. Okay, thank you so much for his expertise and candid responses to our audience inquiries. So, let us carry for the insight gained tonight as we continue to explore and innovate in the real aviation. Together, let's shape a future where sustainability, safety, and efficiency soar hand in hand. Maybe it's all for me. I'm Vanessa Lia as the MC of this event. And on behalf of the organizing committee, would like to say thank you for your presence today and see you in the next opportunity, guys. Maybe I have one quote for you that is flying smarter, greener, and safer. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Maybe we can take a picture together first. Maybe the participant can go to the front of the stage. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay. Maybe you can scan the barcode for the attendance list. Okay, thank you. Yuk, sambil ke depan yuk. We can take a picture together. Let's go, guys. Move forward. Let's take a picture together. This is a very big opportunity, right? Yes.
Hello, everybody. One word from no, please standing up. This is what I'm going to ask you to come to stage, because obviously we want to document this lovely day with Tuna Dalaman. My name is Magdalena Lui. I'm from the University of Information Technology and Management in Poland. We're here especially for you to put this program together where you can study here and in Poland, and hopefully me and my colleague here, we can achieve this as far as next year. So if I'm just going to ask you to come and stand behind us with this lovely background and Tuna Dalaman, your lecture, so we can always remember this moment from the photograph. Okay, so please come and join us. Thank you.
Mrs. Tuna Dalaman, maybe you can see the flyer on our Instagram, our official Instagram. There is your photo in there. Thank you so much for coming to the ITL Trisakti. My God, thank you so much. Okay, let's move forward, guys. Let's take a picture together. Mungkin bisa diisi yang belakang. Ayo foto.
You can stand.
Di belakang. Boleh di bawah. Bisa duduk di bawah atau bisa berdiri di atas. Maybe mas-mas fotografer bisa arahin, tolong. Jovita meminta tolong. You wanna take a picture with your phone? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Look to the camera, guys. Give your best smile. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh, oke. Di depan ada souvenir, guys. Kalian bisa ambil sebelum keluar. Tapi nggak banyak ya. Siapa cepat dia dapat. Dari kedutaannya. Ih, kapan lagi dapat souvenir? Ayo, siapa cepat dia dapat. Ayo, run, run. Jangan lupa absen ya, guys. Thank you. Okay, maybe who want to take a picture with Mr. Tuna Dalaman, you can go ahead, guys.